Hello and welcome, I am Bees_, and this is the evrima Baryonyx concept analysis and prediction, so let's get straight into it. So we are here looking at the Baryonyx's concept art for evrima. So let's start with this image where you can see a Baryonyx kind of slapping Deinosuchus in the face. Can't really tell if this Deinosuchus is young or a full adult, but it doesn't look as big as it should be, so maybe this is showing that Baryonyx is more powerful on land than Deinosuchus, but in the water Deinosuchus is more powerful since Baryonyx is semi-aquatic. This also just shows the size of Baryonyx claws. I mean, they would probably do a lot of damage, headshots to like a Deinosuchus, so maybe this thing will be quite powerful with its arms. It'll probably have a bite attack, but its arms will be the most powerful kind of part of this dinosaur. So let's go on to the other drawing. We see a Baryonyx like missing a fish, or maybe slicing a fish out of the water. Really, maybe the Baryonyx is killed it and it's flung out of the water, or maybe the Baryonyx has missed it. It's quite hard to tell, but you can definitely see the Baryonyx is standing in the water, so this could show maybe that the Baryonyx can stand in shallow water, looking down on deeper water, waiting for a fish to come past, then it catches it. But I can't really tell if this fish is alive or not. It's quite hard to tell. It looks dead, so maybe the Baryonyx maybe flings it and then it lands on the kind of river bank or something, or maybe it's alive and the Baryonyx flings it out the water and then when it hits the ground it dies. But you can also see like a lake sort of, so maybe the Baryonyx will prefer lakes to rivers more because the Deinosuchus might hang out in rivers a bit more, so maybe this thing be more of a kind of lake dinosaur or something like that. So if we go on to the concepts next to it, this is probably one of the most interesting. We see a Ceratosaurus and a Baryonyx, and the Baryonyx is in quite deep water while the Ceratosaurus is on the riverbank roaring at the Baryonyx. So maybe the Ceratosaurus maybe use contesting for the fish that the Baryonyx has, or maybe it's trying to get to the Baryonyx, but it knows that the Baryonyx is more powerful in water. But this shows if a Ceratosaurus and a Baryonyx, if they find each other on land, the Ceratosaurus will probably win every time. So you would want to avoid it if playing Baryonyx. We also see like kind of seagrass or kelp. So maybe this will be kind of like maybe a place to Baryonyx to hide. So if another aquatic dinosaur comes along, it could hide in there, or it could just kind of wait at the bottom, or something like a Ceratosaurus comes along and it could kind of drag it under, but we don't see that ability as much in Baryonyx as Deinosuchus. But we also see a possible new kind of fish, maybe a salmon. It's quite a large fish, it looks like a salmon or something, so that's quite interesting. If we go down here, these I think these three concepts are kind of linked. So let's start with what I think is the first one. You see a group of two Utahraptors possibly attacking or threatening a Baryonyx, and the Baryonyx is standing up on its hind legs. So maybe that's its free call. Maybe when it free calls, it will kind of stand up and make itself look bigger. But so this Utahraptor looks like it's about to pounce with its kind of arms grasping out, and this one looks like more of a distraction. So then if we go up to here, we see that the Utahraptor has pounced the Baryonyx, and the Baryonyx is bucking, I think. It looks like it's trying to get the Utahraptor off, but you also see its claw come around here and kind of grab the Utahraptor. So like Carnotaurus's bucking animation, it doesn't have large arms, so it kind of just moves around and tries to bite the Utahraptor. But this one will probably have a bite and then a kind of claw at the Utahraptor, which might do damage while pouncing. So a Utahraptor would have to kind of look out while trying to bring down a Baryonyx. And then in the last image, we see that it's pulled the Utahraptor off of its back or kind of sides, and there's definitely some sort of kind of damage there. I think that's Utahraptor's leg or foot, which was there. So it's definitely like some damage, and it's being flung off, and it's probably like going to be very damaged after that. And we also see just a massive claw or claws coming around here. So maybe its attacks will probably be kind of like a hit or like a kind of double claw that will do quite a lot of damage. So if we go on to the next image below this one, this is a very interesting one. We see it sharpening its claws or kind of sort of clawing into a tree. So maybe since this dinosaur has very large claws, possibly one of the largest in the game, it will have to keep them sharp. So maybe the sharper they are, the more damage they do, and the blunter they are, the less damage they do. So maybe you would have to kind of avidly sharpen them on a tree, or after a fight they might get a bit worn down or like kind of pulled off or kind of broken. So maybe that will be a sharpening tool like a tree. So if we go on to what I think is, yes, the final image, we see a Tenontosaurus crossing kind of a lake or a river in very deep water, and then we see this Baryonyx kind of attacking it and or dragging it down under the water. And in this concept, I think the Baryonyx is attacking it, since I don't think a Baryonyx that size would be able to drag a Tenontosaurus underwater. The Tenontosaurus is quite kind of stocky dinosaur, while the Baryonyx is quite a thin, kind of slimmer dinosaur. So I think the Baryonyx might be able to kind of attack at the surface of the water, make the prey bleed, and then possibly kind of attack them. We also see like fish here, so maybe they just kind of look like running away from the Baryonyx. So maybe if you're crossing and you see like fish kind of swim away from you, or fish swim in a weird way, you might know, oh, there's a Baryonyx nearby, it scared the fish. But this might not even be an adult Tenontosaur or Tenontosaurus, because of this Baryonyx looks very large next to it. And I think, looking at the other concepts, it seems like Baryonyx is a bit like the size of a Carnotaurus. So this might be a kind of a young Tenontosaurus. We also see just the claws again doing so much damage, kind of going into the dinosaur, then just clawing and doing tons and tons of damage and bleed. So maybe the Baryonyx will be a formidable predator. You wouldn't want to come across it in a river or by a river. So this would be kind of a thing to avoid. You also see a Pteranodon in here. I've probably just put there kind of for just detail, but I don't think it links to anything really on the concept. But I think in this concept it is sort of showing what's on the Baryonyx's diet, since this concept looks like the Utahraptors are attacking it. It doesn't look like the Baryonyx is hunting. This concept, the Baryonyx looks like it's defending itself, and the same in this concept. So we probably can speculate that the Baryonyx will have a Tenontosaurus and probably quite a few types of fish on its diet. And that's probably all we know about Baryonyx. We also see it has kind of scutes on its kind of back, on neck, which could be sort of used as armour. I mean, some dinosaurs used it as armour, but I don't really know. So let's go on to the prediction. So this is the prediction, where I tell you what Baryonyx may have when it comes to evrima. The attacks I think Baryonyx will have are a bite, which will be very weak, a single arm attack, which will be either left or right arm, and you could choose on which way you kind of attack, and a double arm attack where you use both arms if your enemy is in front of you, or possibly just very kind of a large enemy. Baryonyx seems to look around the same size as a Carnotaurus, so it will probably have around the same growth time. My prediction is 2 hours minimum and 3 hours maximum growth time for Baryonyx. We also have some images of Baryonyx's model, so I'll show them now.